Hi, unclear thinkers out there. Smokey here. It's that every other Friday when it's time for a new episode. But as you may have guessed, since you're hearing my voice before our hip intro music, and of course if you saw our Facebook and or Google Plus post from a couple days ago, we're not going to be able to have a new one for you today. Goodrow and I both have some things going on, crimping our schedule, so we didn't get a chance to do some new stuff for you. What we're going to do is let you hear another of the betas, the test episodes that we did last summer when we were practicing, getting ready for the podcast. It's a topic that we did, and at the time found it so interesting that we have thought several times about redoing it since for a live episode. But as it turns out, you guys are going to get to hear it in its raw form. So, and as with these betas, we ask your forgiveness for the audio quality. I'll remind you again, we were kind of learning and figuring out how to do things back then, so does sound kind of raw. But the content, I think, is fairly interesting, and hopefully you will too. At the time, we did not have social media set up, so I'll tell you up ahead of time to whatever kind of feedback you want to give us, please hit us up at the website, unclearthinking.com, via email, unclearthinking@gmail.com. Of course, there's the Facebook and Google Plus pages and our respective Twitter accounts. He is at Anthony Goodrow, and I am at LA Smoke. So here we go. Enjoy this one, and we'll see you back in another couple of weeks for a brand spanking new episode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast with no name. I am Anthony Goodrow, and I have along with me once again my broadcast partner, Larry Smoke. Smoke, what's going on?
Very, very little. I'm flipping through iTunes, seeing some of these oddball entries I have in here. King Tut, Kung Fu Fighting.
Classics. Classics, all of them.
Stuff like that.
That's funny. That's funny you said that because I've been working late this week, and I happen to have my old iPod with me. And I don't listen to my iPod that much anymore because I do most of my music. I stream it, download it to my phone. So my iPod has kind of been relegated to a secondary status as a source of entertainment. But scrolling through the catalog on there, I came across a lot of songs that were the only song by that artist in there for whatever reason.
The one-hit wonder.
The one-hit wonder indeed. And now some of them are pretty good. Some of them are good, and well, some of them are bad. But hence one-hit wonder. But all of them, have their qualities in one way or another, or they wouldn't have ended up on my iPod for whatever reason. But what did you see that interested you?
Oh, I've got a lot of stuff that I guess people would call one-hit wonders. I mentioned the Steve Martin novelty song King Tut, and then there's Kung Fu Fighting. It was named Carl Douglas. That's a hoot.
I would not have been able to tell you what artist did Kung Fu Fighting.
Well, if it wasn't for iTunes, I wouldn't either. Thank the Lord for data fields. Thank the Lord for Apple for filling them in.
Yes, I remember King Tut was. We're relatively the same age, so.
Well, that was 1978, if I remember.
78.
Correctly.
We were 10, 11 years
10
old.
working on 11, yeah.
That was Steve Martin was probably the first comedian that got my attention as a comedian, and I really latched onto him as a funny guy who I made a point to catch him on TV whenever possible.
When we talk speak of King Tut, and we call that a one-hit wonder, there are songs like King Tut and like Disco Duck and Pac-Man Fever, things like that.
Novelty songs.
Novelty songs. And so, can you really call a novelty song a one-hit wonder? Because the person doing a novelty song, are they really trying to make? Well, once they try to make a hit, of course, trying to make a hit. Are they trying to make an ongoing musical career with a full catalog? I mean, Rick Dees that did Disco Duck
Mm-hmm.
He was not trying to start a recording career. It was a gag.
No.
So
Right.
can you call him a one-hit wonder? I mean, it's a wonder that the song was a hit at all, right? So it's not like he
Right.
was trying or recorded numerous things and that was the only one that stuck. I mean, he did one and that was the end of it. And of course, Steve Martin may not have had any other charting hits, but in a way, he's been a recording artist for 40 years. He's a bluegrass banjo player, and I believe has won several Grammy Awards for it. So in some circles, he's a hit, and
Well,
has had numerous hits of a sort.
that's the irony is that Steve Martin considers himself a musician, a professional musician, but he's not known for the music that he likes the most or is best at. He's known for a novelty song. But I wonder if Weird Al Yankovic thought he was going to be as successful as he is.
I'll bet to start with, he fully imagined himself a novelty artist, but
as successful because he just put out his 14th album recently.
I didn't know the count, but I know he has a pretty good sized catalog.
But like I said, there were some good ones out there, and I'll tell you one that caught my ear, and it kind of took me back to what I consider one of the many golden ages of rock music. That was the early 90s. And what you have to remember is the early 90s, there were some really good rock albums that came out about that time. That was the Stone Temple Pilots released Core in 92 and Purple in 94. Pearl Jam released 10, which is just a legendary album.
Yes, it is.
In 91, and Vitology, they followed that up with Vitology, which is also a good one in 94.
And of course, that's
Smashing Pumpkins.
The Nirvana time frame also,
Right.
the beginnings of the grunge era.
So when you hear songs like that in that genre, good songs, you tend to latch onto them and kind of hope that that's something that will be worth listening to, as an album. But I picked up Seven Mary Three's American Standard was the album they released in 94. They had a song called Cumbersome, which I absolutely loved. That song.
And believe it or not, I have heard of, but I don't believe I've ever heard it.
If you get a chance, check it out. But it's just a classic guitar-driven rock song, good lyrical imagery. It's a great song. Unfortunately, the album, which I said is called American Standard, I don't know if you've ever noticed if you look at your toilet.
That's the name of the toilet company, isn't it?
That's most likely, if you have a toilet in your house, it has American Standard stamped on it
They
somewhere.
named that album after the crapper.
They might as well have, because that album is an absolute piece of garbage, except for that song. And that's one of those CDs I have in a box labeled separately. I bought this because of one song, and one song only.
Well, all music went downhill after Glenn Miller. That's just all there is to it.
Oh well, of course. I like the song. I like the way the guitars have a distinct sound. There's a great bass riff in the bridge. It's just a good rock song. But the unfortunate thing is that was it for them, and I'm pretty sure they are done unless they're playing where you can also find corn dogs and cotton
Do
candy.
the State Fair circuit.
Exactly.
Speaking of the State Fair circuit, I saw at a State Fair a few years ago the Gin Blossom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have heard them referred to as a one-hit wonder for "Hey Jealousy." I think that was their first single off their first record.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I can instantly tell you of at least two other top 10 singles they had.
Mm-hmm.
Till I Hear It From You and Allison Road. Just two. I mean,
Right.
of course, they had other charting singles as well. So if they had charting singles, somebody was listening to their work and liking it. So does that make them a one-hit wonder?
I would not have considered them that.
And when I saw them perform, I believe his name. I'm having drawing a blank. I believe his name is Robin Wilson, the lead vocalist. He even said to the crowd as the show was about to close and they were preparing to do "Hey Jealousy," he said, "Well, folks, if we don't do the song, we don't get paid." So he's even acknowledging it a little bit. But again, that term is thrown around to some acts that I don't understand how they get that label when they have a body of work that achieved some success. It might not have. I mean, then perhaps an act may have had one song that remained sort of timeless. What's the definition of a hit? A hit is a song that is popular in its time. Am I right? And if that's the case, well, they had more than one, so they're not a one-hit wonder.
I personally like that album a lot. I think that's one of the a few albums out there that's good, solid from beginning to end. And I don't have it in front of me. I can't name the songs off the top of my head, but keep in mind that when that album was released, it's either the lead guitarist or lead singer, may have been the same person, had committed suicide shortly thereafter.
Definitely wasn't the lead. Oh, I believe it was the guitar player. Yes, I believe their current guitar player is the second guitar player.
Yeah, he was. I mean, it was a key member of the band from a songwriting standpoint. But that album is just fraught with references to alcohol and over drinking, and there's a really good song on there.
Hey Jealousy, Until I Fall Away, Found Out About You, Allison Road, Mrs. Rita. All 5 of those tracks, I remember hearing radio play.
Keep going. What was it? What? There was a.
Those just the single. That's just the singles. Hey Jealousy, Until I Fall Away, Found Out About You, Allison Road, and Mrs. Rita.
There was one song on there that comes to mind called "It Ain't Cheating If She Reminds Me of You," which is a good song. There's another song on there which is has a Cajun flavor to it. Mm-hmm. I believe it's the last track on the album, but it's all Cajun songs sound good, the same to me. Mm-hmm. But that was a particularly good one. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. 4 Non-Blondes was one that came out.
What's going on?
What's Up was the name of the song, but I think I remember it as What's Going On, because that's the line she sings over
and over
and over
and over
and over.
I believe I saw them open for somebody, and I'm showing my age now because here I am drawing another mental blank. I can't remember who it was I saw. Sting. It was when I saw Sting
They opened for Sting
on the Soul Cages tour. Yes.
Huh? How about that? Was she wearing the big dumb hat with the goggles on them?
Probably, but honestly, I do not recall. Cut me some slack. I did good. Remember, it was Sting that was the headliner.
That's the one thing that sticks out of my mind is that video of her with the big dumb hat,
the Dr. Seuss hat.
Yes, and the goggles.
The cat in the hat.
But that's just the falsetto. The lyrics don't really make any sense to me. I can't tell if she's being metaphorical about what her problems is. Is she in an institution? It seems like she does a lot of screaming and crying, so maybe she is actually in a mental institution. But
isn't she quote unquote married to one of those broads on The View?
I have no idea. That would be news to me. But it's a 3-chord song. Mm-hmm. But there's a point near the end. It goes on for at least a minute of the chorus. Hey, whatever, what's going on? That's a little much for a 3-chord song, but it's just too much whining.
Everything can't be Stairway to Heaven.
No.
Here's another take on the definition of the one-hit wonder label. The folks that know me, yourself included, know that my favorite band of all time is Mr. Big. People ask me, and not every day, of course. People don't walk up to me and ask me that, but on the occasions that people have asked me, "What's your favorite music? Who's your favorite performer?" and I say Mr. Big, and 99 times out of 100, the next question is who, and I answer, "Oh, do you remember from 1991 the guitar power ballad To Be With You?" And sometimes yes, and sometimes they'll go no, and then I'll pull out my iPhone and crank it up. Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay. And the irony of it being that song was nothing like anything else they ever did. They were because they're still recording, shredder hair metal type band. To Be With You was their was the number 1 single. It was their biggest stateside success, and they received a little bit of radio play on a couple of other tracks, but that was mainstream society's only acceptance of them. They were the Beatles in Japan. Everything they did was gold. Sold out every show they ever did. Their reunion tour about 6 years ago started in Japan. Most of their record sales comes out of Japan. So are they a one-hit wonder? They had scads of hits in Japan. They're a one-hit wonder here. I mean, can you be a one-hit wonder in one place and not one in another?
Well, what I noticed and
I'm sure there are other examples. That's just the first one that jumps to mind because I'm so enamored of their work.
When you look at lists of that sort, you see a lot of that and even domestically, bands have had a couple of hits and that have charted inside the top 20, top 10. but they're still labeled one-hit wonders for whatever reason, and also along the lines of what you're talking about, have charted in the UK or, like you say, Japan.
Cliff Richard, there's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he enormous in
Oh, yeah.
the UK and in Europe? And I think he had a song or two that charted over here, but could never seem to catch on over here.
Right.
That's going back a ways, but I keep dating myself.
But you talk about people not knowing more Mr. Big songs. Well, it was funny it wasn't funny when he died, but what was funny about the way people reacted to when Lou Reed died, what was that? Was that late last year?
It's been at least a year, if not a little bit more, yeah.
Social media, people are all broke up of, oh, Lou Reed, what a impact he had on music. And I'm thinking some of these people, I'm wondering, what songs do you know by him?
Name two. Okay, Walk on the Wild Side and
they had a great impact on their lives with Walk on the Wild Side, apparently. A lot of people don't put a whole lot of effort into knowing their favorite artist, so to speak. Another classic one-hit wonder from the teen sensation Hanson. I'm sure you remember the song Ba.
The Prepubescents.
I'll tell you a little secret.
That was a 50s doo-wop group, wasn't it? The Prepubescents.
I don't tell a lot of people this, but I like that song, Ba.
Well, apparently a lot of people did.
Well,
it was a number one song.
Not a lot of people in our demographic would admit it, I don't think.
It's in my iTunes library, too. You got me.
Well, good. Airing our dirty laundry. But the first thing I think about when I hear that song is the Jackson 5. And you have to like the Jackson 5.
I do.
You cannot not like the Jackson 5.
I can take them. They're okay. They were okay.
But I think if people tend to make them out to be a boy band, that's certainly not what they are or were, because I have no idea what they're doing now. I quit following them a long time ago.
Your subscription to Tiger Beat expired?
Yeah, it did. It did. All my back issues are in a box somewhere in the attic. Yeah. But they wrote their own songs. They played their own instruments. They're actually talented. I think the oldest was 16 at the time when that song came out, and maybe 13, 12, 11, something like that. There are plenty of bands out there that in their early days were pretty crappy musicians. And I'll tell you one that...
Thank God that's changed, huh?
I'll tell you one that I know of personally, and that is Hootie and the Blowfish. It's not a very popular thing to say, especially around here, because you know how they tend to be worshipped. But when I was at Carolina, two of my good friends lived in the dorm next to mine. Their next door neighbors in that dorm were Darius Rucker and Dean Felber. At that time, when I was hanging around with them, not Darius and Dean, but my two friends that lived next door to me, I ran into them all the time.
Mutual friend.
Yeah. That was when Mark Bryan and Darius just started getting together. And I would hear Mark playing, he lived almost close to, not on that hall, but close by, and they would go in there and play a little bit, and Mark was not very good. Even if you listen to Crack Rear View, there's nothing complicated or innovative about anything Mark does. Nothing against him personally.
No, the structure of the songs is fairly straight up. You're right. I mean, they're not hard. It's not Jimi Hendrix complication in the finger work on the guitar. I understand what you mean. I mean, a song can be good, can be simple, but be good. I understand.
Right. His lead. You listen to his leads, and there's just nothing special about them. They're not bad. They're just, he's just a guy. He's not horrible, but my longer point is these guys, for their age, are actually pretty good musicians. That's actually a good pop song. It's good structure. It's catchy. It's got good vocal arrangements if you'll listen to it. Right, it's infectious, and it just hits me. It hits me right where a good pop song should, and there's nothing wrong with that. And now I'm proud of it. The more I talk about it, the prouder I am about it. What if there's a Hanson fan page on Facebook or something I can join?
I'd be shocked if there wasn't.
There's probably a multitude, and you know what? I can join all of them.
There you go.
Well, that's what I came up with.
Thinking about, how about people that were in musical acts that had success and then did a song solo and had a one-hit wonder solo career?
I know who you're talking about.
Well, are they one-hit wonders because they were part of they, in their musical career, had lots of hits in a collaborative medium, like collaborative form, but only one by themselves, so to speak. And I don't know who you're thinking. I'm thinking of the first one that jumps to my mind, Dennis DeYoung.
Oh, I had William Shatner.
What band was William Shatner in?
The crew of the Enterprise.
I must have missed their albums.
They wore all the same uniforms.
Yeah. No, I was thinking of Styx, Dennis DeYoung. Dennis DeYoung had, has done more than one solo album, but his first one and the first single off of it was the only significant charting solo hit he had, but was a part of numerous rock and roll classic songs as part of a band. So is he a one-hit wonder?
Well, I can hear the song. Do you remember the name of the
Desert Moon?
The name of the song? Desert Moon. That's right. I could hear it. I just couldn't think of the name of it. From that era, and I tell you, this just struck me as Steve Perry released an album. You remember the song "Oh Sherry"?
Oh yes.
Steve Perry, obviously the lead singer from Journey. That was an album to me was good, but
I believe all three singles off that album charted fairly highly, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely. I can't off the top of my head. I'm not sure. I know there are numerous people that fit the category you're talking.
Here's a list of such examples. Thank God for Wikipedia. Here's a list of them. Alex Band had a hit with The Call, Wherever You Will Go, and then was the vocalist on a Santana song, Why Don't You and I. So there's two hits, but one with a band and one vocalizing for someone else. Well, did he have either of the hits? Donald Fagen, Steely Dan, had a solo single, What a Beautiful World. He's not a one-hit wonder. Are you going to call somebody from Steely Dan a one-hit wonder?
Oh, I've got that CD.
Ace Frehley, back in the New York Groove, had a solo single off of a Kiss solo album. The solo album was branded as Kiss. Was that a solo song? If it was he a one-hit wonder because he was a member of Kiss, which had numerous hits? Have I stumped you yet?
I'm wondering why it's so hard for me to find the list that I was referring to this week.
Roger Daltrey had a solo song. He's not a one-hit wonder, is he? You call him the Who a one-hit wonder?
I don't think I would put him on my list. But I'm seeing a lot of what we were talking about earlier as far as acts that I thought they had numerous singles for whatever reason, or they want to list them as one-hit wonders. Beck is on here with Loser. I guess maybe it's not like he disappeared. He's still a reasonably successful act.
Supposedly is having a bit of a comeback right about now, I believe, or so I've heard. Achy Breaky Heart. That's got to count.
That's a song bad enough to make me want to shoot myself.
Funky town, down, won't you take me to down, funky town.
That's one of those songs that gives me a memory of a specific place and time. Funky Town is. That was a football practice in '82. That must have come out in '82.
I was thinking it was about 80, but was released as a single in March 1980.
Huh. Maybe I got the wrong year, the wrong season.
Or somebody may have been playing it in '82.
Yeah. But doesn't One Hit Wonder imply that the act's career is essentially over? Is that just me?
That's probably the average person's understanding of the term, even if it's an unconscious understanding. I think it's an acknowledgement by the public that, well, nothing else is coming.
Amy Winehouse is on this list, and
she can stay there as far as I'm concerned.
Is she dead, or does she just look that way?
She's dead.
I would say, did she overdose? Because her one hit was called Rehab, appropriately.
Right. And that irony was well noted in the press at the time.
Well,
I've got a lot of things to try to add to my iTunes library now. You've given me some ideas. Lots of interesting fodder.
It really is. So we'll wrap this episode up. And if you would like, if you're on Twitter, you can follow me at Anthony Goodrow, ANTHONY GOODROE. Did I spell it right?
It's your name. If you say it right, I'll believe you.
I lost track.
And wouldn't you know it, I'm on the Twitter too. Larry Smoke, LARRYSMOAK.
Outstanding. We say funny stuff all the time, don't we?
We like to think so.
All right, well, that'll do it for us this episode, and we will catch you back here next time.
Ta-ta.